The movie begins in London in 1995. Eleanor Young arrives at the Calthorpe Hotel with her sister Felicity, son Nick and niece Astrid. When asking at the front desk for her reservation, the clerk and the manager, Reginald Ormsby, deny about not having her reservation for evidently racist reasons. Eleanor requests them to use their phone, to which they refuse, and she eventually calls her husband using the phone booth to explain their situation. She returns to the hotel, and Ormsby threatens to call the cops if she doesn't leave, just as Lord Calthorpe greets Eleanor, saying that her husband just called, and we learn he is a good friend of the Young family. Calthorpe then informs Ormsby that he has sold the hotel to the Youngs, leaving him looking foolish. Eleanor then orders Ormsby and the clerk to wipe the mud that Nick left on the floor. New York, 2018. Rachel Chu is giving her economics class a lesson by playing poker with a student, whom she beats, to the impression of the others. Later, Rachel joins her boyfriend Nick at a cafe. Nick tells Rachel he wants to take her to his hometown in Singapore for the wedding of his best friend Colin Koo, which would be an excellent opportunity for Nick to introduce Rachel to his family. In the cafe, two women from a blog site called Radio 1 Asia spot Rachel and Nick, and one of them snaps a picture of them as she walks past them. Soon the picture spreads at the speed of light in the Asian community until it makes its way to Eleanor, who is with her sisters, and they start discussing Rachel. She calls Nick to ask about bringing his mysterious girlfriend with him to the wedding. Rachel is with her mom Carrie, and they discuss that Nick has never really talked about his family. Rachel's mother thinks he may be poor and that he's ashamed of that. When Rachel and Nick arrive at the airport, they are escorted to the first class, and Rachel is worried that they can't afford it. Nick then reveals that his family is rich and that the flight is one of their perks. He then tells Rachel about his cousins with whom he shares the fortune. Alistair Chang is a big-shot filmmaker based in Taiwan dating his lead actress, Kitty Pong, though she is noted as a terrible actress. Then there is Alistair's brother Eddie, a banker married to Fiona with 3 children. However, he is obsessed with their image and is seen criticizing Fiona's dress choice because it's only good for Chinese Vogue and not American Vogue. Finally, there is Astrid, whom Nick calls her being a sweetheart. She is seen speaking to a little girl and complimenting her teddy bear before meeting with a jeweler who shows her some rare collection until she lays her eyes on earrings that are worth over $1.2 million. The couple arrives in Singapore, where Colin and his fiancée Araminta Lee pick them up. They go around the city and indulge in local food that Rachel hasn't tried. In Astrid's home, she tends to hide her expensive shoes and jewelry not to be seen by her husband. She later reads a bedtime story to her son Cassian before her husband Michael comes in. He was a commoner until he married into the wealthy lifestyle and is aware of Astrid's expensive shopping. He tells her she doesn't have to hide that from him, as he got no problem with that. The following day, Rachel visits her old college roommate Peek Lin Go, whose family is also very wealthy. Rachel meets Peek Lin's parents, Wai Moon and Nina, and her siblings. When Rachel mentions that she's dating Nick Young, everyone drops what they're doing and informs Rachel just how rich the Youngs are, as they are the biggest real estate developers in the area and other parts of the world. Rachel tells Peek Lin of a party the Youngs are throwing that evening at Nick's grandmother's home, and Peek Lin takes out some fresh clothes for Rachel to wear. Rachel and Peek Lin arrive at the glamorous estate, and Nick invites Peek Lin to stay and enjoy the party. He introduces Rachel to Eleanor, and Rachel tells Eleanor how her mother is a single self-made woman working in real estate and how she is an economics professor, and that her father died before she was born. Eleanor frowns upon this, viewing ambitions as unnecessary, as they are not open-minded like her, because in their family, parents are obsessed with shaping their children's future. Rachel tells Nick that his mother hates her. Nick brings Rachel around to meet some of his relatives, including his cousins and aunts, and they look down upon Rachel for not coming from money like the rest of them. Then they meet Nick's nanny, who Rachel thinks to be Nick's grandmother, and leaves embarrassed. She freaks out about that incident and accidentally spills her drink on Nick's shirt. He leaves Rachel with his cousin Oliver and gets to his room to change his shirt. Eleanor comes to his room to tell him how disappointed she was when he didn't come home last year, as they want him to join their family business so his father can take a break once in a while. But Nick says he still needs time to finish some things in New York. Elsewhere in the party, Astrid is with Michael before he leaves the room. She looks at his phone and reads a text from another woman saying, "The bed feels empty without you." Later, Nick introduces Rachel to his grandmother, Shang Su Yi, who seems to like Rachel. The following day, Rachel joins Araminta and her friends for her bachelorette party, while Nick joins his cousins and their gaudy rich schoolmate Bernard Tai for Colin's bachelor party. The bachelor party takes place on a freight ship with pools and a dance floor. Eddie criticizes Nick for choosing Rachel, seeing her as merely a commoner, and noting to Colin that his own family wouldn't have accepted Araminta were she not from a wealthy family herself. Nick and Colin leave the party and head to a spot to relax, where Nick reveals an engagement ring that he plans to use to propose to Rachel. Colin notes that Nick already stunned his family by not returning the year earlier to inherit their company, and to marry Rachel would mean walking away from his inheritance. Meanwhile, the ladies are on an island where Araminta treats them to a shopping spree and a spa day. Rachel meets one of her friends, Amanda Ling, who then reveals herself as Nick's ex-girlfriend and starts playing with Rachel's feelings. Rachel leaves the spa when she overhears the other girls making snide comments about her. She runs into Astrid, who tries to comfort her, and they both return to Rachel's room to find a dead fish on Rachel's bed, with calling her a gold digger written on the window in blood. Astrid helps Rachel bury the fish on the beach that night as the other women dance and drink. Astrid then confides to Rachel that Michael is having an affair. When they reunite, Rachel tells Nick about what happened with the other women, and she is more upset that he didn't tell her about his past, but he feels none of it mattered as long as they were together. He later brings Rachel to Eleanor's house so she can learn how to make dumplings like his grandmother taught him how to do so. Rachel then notices Eleanor's ring, which she says Nick's father made to propose to her. Eleanor then makes a patronizing remark about Rachel not feeling the same way about her old-fashioned traditions. Later, as Rachel tries to find her room, Eleanor clarifies that the ring her husband gave her was made because his mother did not give him the family ring, as she initially has not approved of Eleanor for her son, and it took a while for her to come around. However, Eleanor makes it firmly clear to Rachel that she doesn't think Rachel is good enough for Nick. Rachel has lunch with Peek Lynn and says she may skip the wedding because she worries she may cause drama among Nick's family. Peek Lynn convinces her otherwise and brings Rachel back to her house to pick out a nice outfit for the wedding with the help of Oliver. On the way to the wedding, Astrid confronts Michael about his affair. Michael tries to turn it around on her for making him feel inferior with her constantly buying expensive items, and he gets out of the car to leave her to attend the wedding alone. Rachel turns up at the wedding, impresses everyone with her dress, and even manages to stun Amanda when she tells her she's in her way. Eleanor and her sisters note that Princess Inton is there and requested a whole row to herself so she will not be bothered. To their surprise, Rachel approaches Inton and talks about how she read an article about her and that Rachel admires how she spent her wealth. Inton likes Rachel, and even Nick sees how great Rachel looks. Colin and Araminta are married, and later Nick tells Rachel how beautiful she looks. During the reception, Eleanor orders Oliver to stop Alistair and Kitty from humping each other on the dance floor. Oliver cuts in and sends Alistair away before dancing with Kitty and telling her that if she married Alistair, she would get nothing because he's fourth in line to his family's fortune, while Bernard is the sole heir to his family's business. Meanwhile, Rachel and Nick are called to meet with Eleanor and Su Yi. Eleanor reveals she hired a private investigator to dig into Rachel's past, and it turns out that Rachel's biological father is still alive but that Rachel's mother was previously married to another man before she cheated on him with Rachel's father and fled to America. Nick is furious at Eleanor, and Rachel tells Eleanor she wants no part of her family and runs away from the party. Nick tries to catch her, but she's gone. Rachel stays with Peek Lynn, depressed in her bedroom. The following morning, Rachel is surprised to find Carrie showing up at the house. When Rachel brings up the matter of her father, Carrie explains that her original husband was abusive to her, and she took comfort with a school friend that later got her pregnant with Rachel. Carrie fled to America, fearing that her husband would kill them if he found out. She also reveals that Nick called her out of concern for Rachel. Nick meets with Rachel in the city by the water. He takes out his ring and proposes to her, as he wants to marry her and start a new life in New York, leaving everything behind. Michael packs his bags to leave, but Astrid says she is taking Cassian to live in one of her other apartments. She tells Michael she can't expect him to act like a man because he isn't one. She then takes the earrings she bought earlier but hides from Michael and finally wears them. Eleanor goes to a place where people are playing mahjong to meet Rachel. Rachel tells Eleanor that she turned down Nick's proposal because she doesn't want to be the reason that his family disowns him, but she notes that if he chose them over her, Nick might spend the rest of his life resenting Eleanor. At the same time, Eleanor draws a mahjong tile which would complete her hand and win her the game. Rachel tells her that she loves Nick so much that she is willing to sacrifice her happiness for his and to remember that when Nick finds someone else in the future who Eleanor approves of and is happily married because of her, just a daughter of an immigrant and a nobody, who made it all possible. Rachel then shows her hand letting everyone know she just let Eleanor win and leaves with Carrie, who gives Eleanor a stern glare. Eleanor goes home to have a private talk with Nick. Rachel and Carrie prepare to leave for New York, but Nick shows up on the plane to try talking to Rachel. He explains his ideal proposal but doesn't care about it because he loves her so much and would give up his whole fortune to spend the rest of his life with her. Nick proposes again on the airplane, but this time with Eleanor's ring, with all the passengers watching. Rachel says yes this time. Everyone cheers as she and Nick share a big kiss. Nick tells Rachel that he would like to stay just one more night. Nick later surprises Rachel by throwing an engagement party on a rooftop with all of his friends and family attending with excitement. Eleanor even manages to give Rachel a sincere smile. Rachel and Nick kiss as fireworks explode across the sky. Midway through the credits, Astrid meets a man named Charlie Wu, and there appear to be sparks between them. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to watch more videos like this.